All right, people, what's up? It's another episode of Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. Tonight's episode, The Essence of Love.
We, as usual, came prepared to bring you guys good, fun topics, some truth.
Pat, I got to interrupt you. You sound really, really deflated.
Yeah, because we're not going to do what we had planned because we lost a great human being. And a few hours ago, Kobe Bryant and 8 others, including his eldest daughter, died in a helicopter crash. We almost didn't record tonight because of how we feel. We thought it was best to communicate with our listeners about how we all feel.
Yeah, and to our listeners, I'm sure for a lot of you, you have the same feelings we do. We want you to know that we're focusing this episode on the essence of love, not just because of the tragedy that happened today, but also because it's a stark wake-up call to the minutia, the trivialness of what we talk about on this show compared to what life is really about. It's important for everybody to know that as much as we investigate love and sex and relationships, how quickly it can come to an end and how quickly you wake up and realize the fragility of human life.
Let's get into some things. The obvious things are, I'm going to state them because they're part of his legacy. It's not the entire story of a man, but Kobe was a killer on the court, and this is what even the casual fan knows about him. We can get into technical, fundamental things about his game, but I understand not everybody is going to understand that. But what everybody can understand is that to be truly great at your craft and to do it passionately is something that we don't come across it every day in any walk of life. Kobe was one of those guys. And then if you do it to the point of being a winner, that adds another very noteworthy layer. He was a champion. And then, to do it with longevity. He has the highest point total in the history of basketball, 81 points, which he did in 3 quarters. He sat the 4th quarter of that game. And his last game of a 20-year career, he scored 60 points. And this is a guy that did it defensively, offensively. I really can go on and on and on about his basketball prowess, but this is a man that was one of the good guys. And I say one of the good guys because the 2 hosts of this show, we know killers. We know people that have done all kinds of bad things that they weren't called home yet. They're still walking this earth and living their life. But Kobe Bryant is a family man, a good man, a hardworking man. Whether he continuously beat your team or not, whether you liked him or didn't, you respected him. And for his wife and his 3 remaining daughters that are here with us on earth, there's nothing that I can say. There's nothing that I can say that can even begin to express my condolences to the level that they need to be. And for the other 7 passengers, I don't know anything about them, but my heart goes out to their families and loved ones because they have a story too. And Jay, take it over.
The shock that I think that we're experiencing is both due to the magnitude of the impact that Kobe had, not just in terms of his legendary sports career, but also the way that he conducted himself overall. And I want to point out that, I think that you said whether or not you loved him or hated him. I think that the thing that's going to resonate with people most is the fact that he was 41 years old when this happened, with 4 daughters and a wife, and he leaves behind 3 daughters and his wife, and he always tried to conduct himself to the best of his ability, even when he made personal mistakes. He got up and faced the music like a man, did the right thing, admitted to his mistakes, and in terms of his on-court behavior as well as his off-court behavior, for the most part, you had to appreciate the fact that he was going to give you his best. And I think that from the admiration of just what an athlete he was, and the heart of a champion and the heart of a true assassin in terms of how hard he worked to be as good as he was at the craft, and the appreciation you have to have for the effort that he put into working. It's just a sidebar point, but I think at a certain point in his career, Kobe picked up boxing because the boxing workout for him was the way of improving his body and his skill level after he had already become the greatest player, for his time on the court.
The tidbit is an important tidbit because so much goes into a man or a person. And for example, I read that he, at the end of every season, whether they won a title or not, whether they made the playoffs or not, he took off 7 days. And then he had it in his contract that after 7 days, he resumes workouts, and he arranged for transportation to his practice facility. I mean, you have all the money in the world, beautiful family, you're a champion, you name it. But what gets lost in it is the work.
Yeah.
Was he gifted by God, otherworldly talent? Absolutely. But there's a lot of talented people that don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Waste it or don't put in the work. Kobe Bryant put in the work. And it's something that we can all take from that. Regardless of what you do for a living, regardless of what your goals are, if you put in the work he put in, you'll find success.
Yeah. Even
if your success doesn't come with fame and fortune, you're still successful.
Right.
And it's the application of that work ethic and those attributes that I think really set him apart from someone else who might have been just as talented,
right,
just as gifted, but didn't know what to do with it. And and again, I keep going back to the good guy thing because I personally am very tired of bad things happening to good people and good things happening to bad people. I'm not God. Who am I to judge? But everybody listening to this podcast, if you're a reasonable individual, you know what I'm talking about. There's the news, social media, there's the world, and there are people out here molesting kids and raping people and doing all types of heinous crimes, and they're still here.
Yeah.
And in some cases they're free men.
That's right.
And again, when one of the good ones gets called home to his maker, it hurts us here. And I feel for his daughter's classmates and teammates, and these are regular people. They're neighbors. They touch people's lives. And I didn't know Kobe Bryant personally, but he was a fish in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
He didn't have a private life like that. So, if he was and if you ever know anybody, I know a couple people who have dealt with him. I've only heard good things. And people also get misunderstood. They have said he was kind of antisocial throughout his career. Turns out he didn't like clubbing.
Yeah.
It wasn't him, So when these guys are running the streets, doing what they do, he just didn't want to do it. He was studying film, getting ready for the next game. Look, I wouldn't wish what happened today to him on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
But the fact that it happened to, again, one of the good guys, from us here at Fun and Truth, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, and may his wife and family and people closer to him than us, because find a way to put it together. And
our deepest thoughts, condolences, love, prayers, you name it. We're thinking of the Bryant family, and to all those people out there that loved Kobe. Obviously, we're thinking of you too. And again, to all of our listeners, this is a moment for us to just reflect on how fragile life is and how quickly things can change and your loved ones can be taken away. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Go ahead.
We're back. Fun and Truth. Truth and Fun, Black and White, Pat and Jay. This tragedy leads me to think about a lot of things and the essence of love. One of the things people say when people are exiting a room or leaving or hanging up a phone, they say, all right, man, be safe. Or when you get to where you get going, send me a text, let me know you got there safely. And people say it, I think it rolls off of your tongue. Like, I don't even think people necessarily mean it. They don't want anything bad to happen to you, but I don't think they're thinking about it. Because even if this is a wake-up call for some people, it's not because people don't value life, but I think it's because people don't want to walk around with morbid thoughts. So, but I just want to say that, truly, every day is a blessing. There are people that hate their birthdays. I'm 30 now. I'm getting old. There are little people that don't even celebrate their birthdays or complain about their birthdays. And the alternative is you're dead. The only people not aging are those who are dead.
Yep.
And yet people on their birthday, some people actually get upset on their birthdays. It's incredible. And forget not just your birthday, but any Tuesday, any Monday, any day that you get up, man, is a day that you can enjoy your life, make the most out of it, because you're not promised tomorrow. And then along the way, you get to touch other people and have an impression on their life. And I know there's some cynical person listening to us right now, rolling their eyes, thinking we're being sappy, but this is the real. And I am being completely honest when I tell you that, Jay and I, we're going to finish the show tonight. We're going to leave the office. We're going to, dap it up and hug. And he's going to call me in the morning. We're going to talk again, because it's we don't take it for granted. And we don't think any of you should either. So along the way, this show explores it all. We take it places that are X-rated, G-rated, everything in between, in all these scenarios. But, we never promote that you don't care about life. And I just think that the title of this episode is The Essence of Love. Not just loving a Kobe Bryant or someone else like him, but loving the Kobe Bryant in your life. There are people in your life for you to admire that aren't necessarily famous. And starting with the person in the mirror, value your own life, value your loved ones. And if you're lucky enough to have people that you love, siblings, friends, family, neighbors, whomever, you can tell them I love you. You can show them I love you. You can hang out with them, have a burger, have a beer. There's a lot of ways. Like, I know it's hard. Like, along the way, there's stress, there's work, there's illness, there's all types of things. But believe me when I tell you, every day is actually a gift.
Yeah.
That day that your boss spoke to you out of pocket, that day that you got an unflattering letter in the mail from the government, that day that you got a bill you didn't expect, that day of the flat tire in the rain, that day of the wardrobe malfunction, like whatever, those, or the day where like 2 or 3 of those things happen in the same day.
Yeah. Those
days where you feel like, damn, in it all, there's a thread in there that's something positive. And what you going to do with that thread?
Not only, this is a tough one for me because I really agree with you, but what I want to say is that the impact of what happened today makes us realize again how trivial it all is, and it's something that I want the listeners to understand, that no matter how bad things get, exactly what Pat is saying, no matter how many horrible things that can occur to you, the benefit of being alive, the benefit of having the opportunity to wake up and face your reality, you always have the ability to change your reality, just your mindset, and being thankful for not only the gift of life, but the impact that you can have on others. And again, I think that's what makes today's tragedy so powerful, is that, there are some people who probably didn't pay attention to Kobe Bryant at all. But just hearing about what happened, now they know. And now they know, the person who died and his daughter was with him, and he lived, with incredible privilege. And so did she. But they're gone now. And for his wife and 3 daughters and their 3 sisters, their sister is gone. She'll never be back. Their father is gone. He'll never be back. For Vanessa Bryant, who's Kobe's wife, she just lost her spouse and partner, and
maybe her best friend. And
right.
Another lesson in all this, Jay, is like Kobe Bryant recently retired from basketball, and so a lot of us go through transitions. In fact, we had an episode about transitions a few weeks ago, and in his second career, and he won an Academy Award.
Yeah.
He's been doing a lot of mentoring to younger players. So take that in the context of your own life. You can be a banker.
Yeah.
A teacher, writer, what have you. You've got something to give to somebody else. The more you give, the more you get. And there's a lesson in that too.
Mm-hmm.
Even in this tragedy, he was headed to his child's basketball practice.
Yeah.
So we talk about relationships on this show, and most of them are amongst adults. In intimate relationships, but the relationships with your offspring, children in your life, like, I'm not saying it's easy to balance everything. I'm still searching for balance. I think most of us are on that quest, but it's about relationships. And if you have a child and your child is a teenager that's giving you a hard time, how many times, Jay, have people with kids told you, I can't wait till my kids are out the house?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying kids can't frustrate parents, but there's so much opportunity while they're in the house. And a game night or a lesson to be taught. Just look, whatever it is you're going through, and our inbox is full of all types of ideas and debauchery, but somewhere in it, you've got to sit back and enjoy the things you already have.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're always looking forward to the next thing. If I can just get a raise, or if I can just get that next job, or I can just get the new car, or I can't wait to fix my house or buy a new house. And a lot of times along the way, you're not even appreciating the thing that's right in front of you. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, you could be out of time, and you guys are listening to me now. This could be the last time you hear my voice in terms of a live podcast.
Certainly hope not.
Knock on wood. I'm just saying, just in it all, have a lot of fun, speak your truth, but also live your life and make the most out of it. And, and I think if everybody kind of has that attitude.
Understand your own impact on other people's lives as well.
Correct.
Every listener out there, you have an impact on other people's lives. And the more you realize the impact that you have and the impact that you can make with every day that you're alive, you really have the ability to make a difference in so many people's lives. And that is something that can be taken away in a second. And you will never know, and that's I think the biggest, feeling of sadness is the fact that when you make an impact on other people's lives and then, you're suddenly gone from this earth, you will never know the amount of loss that other people feel for your impact, but at the same time, the amount of impact that you've had, that's such a rewarding feeling. Obviously you're gone at that point, but for all of those people, who mourn Kobe Bryant, again, just think of the impact that he's had on them. And think about the fact that they're going to wake up tomorrow and they're going to have to go on with their lives. And the one difference is that they're now going to think a little bit differently about their lives because of the fact that Kobe is gone. And
in the tragedy, the beauty of his life, just last week, I think we closed the show by speaking about doing what feels right. His impact, Kobe Bryant's impact, is felt because he found who he was. He found who he was early. Yeah. Now, this same story is sad no matter who it is, no matter what. Even if it was somebody that was unknown, it's the same level of sadness. But the sadness is widespread. Why is it widespread? Because of he actually found who he was. Like, what would have been even more tragic if, I got to put that in air quotes because how could it be worse? But your time is up and you never lived.
Yeah.
Like, you were alive, but you never lived. You weren't doing what you were meant to do, or you weren't being the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. Kobe Bryant can rest in peace. Like, that's not happening to Kobe. Kobe's not in heaven or whatever your belief is. His spirit, or people that knew him, know he has things he didn't accomplish yet. I'm sure he had all kinds of goals.
Yeah.
But for the 41 years he was on this earth, he maximized those.
Yeah.
So again, we don't know how much time we have.
Mm-hmm.
So that painting you want to finish, that book you want to finish,
right,
reading or writing, whatever it is you want to do. It can even be some of the things you guys are emailing us about.
Right.
But whatever it is you want to do, there's a way to do it respectfully, genuinely,
mm-hmm,
and truly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the essence of love and the essence of living.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. And for our listeners, we would love it if you email us your thoughts on Kobe, whatever impact that he's had on you.
Some of you guys might have known him.
Yeah,
you know?
we'd love to be able to, for our next podcast, be able to read some thoughts about him. But going forward, I want to talk a little bit more about the standpoint of relationships and love and sex, and obviously the loss of a loved one, and how do you go forward? There's going to be a mourning time, or a process of mourning and grieving that you have to go through, but life goes on. And, obviously, for Vanessa, for the daughters, and sisters, I should say, this is going to be, a very challenging time for a while, but there's going to be a process of moving forward, and they have to live their lives. And I think that, one of the things about this particular podcast is we have the opportunity to explore, where do you go? In terms of going forward. And it doesn't necessarily mean that she has to find somebody else and remarry, but at the same time, she has, the opportunity to look for support. She has the opportunity to get involved in causes, to help others in terms of making her own impact and speaking about causes that are important to her. But from the standpoint of relationships, Pat, I'm going to throw it at you. If you were in a relationship and lost your significant other, obviously you'd go through a process of mourning and grieving, but what would help you to move forward, and what are the things that you think are important in moving forward?
I think the first thing I would do is, aside from the pain and torture of loss, I would try to get to a point first where I think there's stages. So let me just say, so there's the devastation. Then there's that very, very beginning process of making arrangements for sending them home. And then after that, and I've been through this when I lost my dad, then after that it's you're alone again. Because right away, everybody's reaching out to you. So you're kind of insulated. Then at some point, you end up having to really face the reality. And now you walk by chairs they sat in, clothes they wore. And you have to really, deal with that. So I think the abnormal becomes the normal. And that's the next stage, right? But when all of that is done, and that can take a long time, years, weeks, months, depending on who you are and how you do it and how you go through it, I would celebrate. Like what I've done with those close to me, lost a couple of friends as very, very young men, and on the anniversary of their death, on their birthday, or any random day, to help me, I think about jokes they told, things we did, places we were, and that helps me. So it becomes more of a celebration of their life rather than being sad. Because the people that I've lost, they would want me to party and celebrate their memory. So I think that's what I would do. Now I'm talking about a relationship where somebody I was with, like a spouse, girlfriend, what have you. I think I would have to be honest with myself about when I'm ready to see other people. And I think that's a very sliding scale. I think that's going to differ for everybody.
Right.
It's kind of like, this is not the best analogy, but, I tore my ACL playing basketball, and people have different injuries. And it wasn't until a year after the doctor cleared me to play again that I felt confident playing again.
Right.
Because it was in my mind that it can happen again. So I think when you know that you can actually go on a date and give the date a chance
Yeah.
to have a good time that night
Yeah.
and see where it goes, you have to be honest with yourself. I think going on a date prior to that is not a good look.
Yeah.
And I think being ready and ignoring that is not a good look.
Yeah.
So I think those are the stages. And you get to the point of celebration now when things trigger your memory. And anything can trigger your memory. But now it's not going to bring you to a dark place.
Yeah.
It'll bring you to a place where you're like, you know what? Let me tell you this funny story, or, you know, what have you. Even if you just keep it to yourself. Or even if you share it with people who knew your mate that passed away. I think it'll ease dealing with it, and that feeling will become more dominant. Not that you won't have sad days where you cry, but I think it'll be more of the positive feeling than the negative feeling. And then when you get to the point where you can actually date and try to enjoy yourself, I think just do it. I just think you have to be honest about when that comes. If it's not time yet, it's not time yet. Like, don't look at someone and think to yourself, wow, this person is really gorgeous. I'm not ready, but they're so gorgeous, I don't want to pass up this opportunity. I think that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'll work.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. And we wing all of our answers here, because a lot of things are things we can't discuss firsthand. I've never been in that exact situation, so I just wing that absolutely. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you. Hold on one second. We're going to take a break because we have some noise. We'll be right back.
Sorry for the delay. You know, we're in New York City, and we happen to be right next to Kennedy Airport. So there's a lot of traffic just now. Sorry about that. Jay, you had a response for me.
Yeah. So in terms of the stages of grief and really moving forward, you know, both of us have lost close loved ones, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners out there have as well. And the stages of grief are real, but you do get through them. And once you do get through them, you know, you are able to start testing the waters and putting yourself out there. And, you know, it's funny, we had an email, I think last week, in which somebody was testing the waters and she was in a safe relationship. And, you know, this is something that, again, the impact of what happened today with Kobe, it's going to have, you know, a long resonating effect for a lot of people. And this is a wake-up call in a way to really understand that, you know, nothing is guaranteed, nothing is certain, and on one hand you can go out there and you could just have sex and say, hey, you know what, I could die tomorrow, so let me just fuck my brains out and have a good time. But you could also think about it in terms of the value of love and the fact that, hey, I have a chance to tell somebody that I care about that I love them. And whether this is somebody that, you know, you're married to or just intimate with, or even if you want to be intimate with them and you're not yet, it is so important to let people know how you feel, good or bad. Understand that, you know, this is an opportunity for you to really look at life differently in terms of just what's important. So I think that in responding to you and really what I think our listeners need to really get from this tragedy is that there's no time like the present. There's no time like the present to be present, you know, pun intended, and let people know how you feel, because you don't get a second chance from beyond. So, moving forward, I think that we're going to take a quick break again and come back with our IDGAF and PSA. You want to wrap up at all, or?
I just want to say that, we always encourage listeners to feed off of other listeners or feed off of what we said. And if you need help, we're not therapists, but if you have something you'd like to, if you're going through a loss yourself, we'll hear you out. Reach out to us. And as a matter of fact, in our in our podcast community, we can put you in contact with the right therapist who maybe can help you. So feel free to email us, reach out, and share your story of what you're going through, regardless of the subject matter. If you're dealing with the loss,
we haven't blasted out to people in a while, but it's funandtruthinblackandwhite@gmail.com, or you can just post on our Facebook page, which is Fun and Truth in Black and White. We also have an Instagram account, but again, email or our Facebook page. I know a lot of you have liked our Facebook page, and we appreciate it, but please put comments on our page, reach out. If you want us to, talk to you, let us know. We have a Gmail number that you can connect with us again on the Facebook
if we can help in any way, even if it's referring you to someone who can be of more help.
That's right.
We'll do that with fun and truth and honesty. So we'll be right back with I Don't Give a Fuck.
All right, we're back. This is Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. Once again, our email is funandtruthinblackandwhite@gmail.com, and our Facebook page is Fun and Truth in Black and White. Pat, last week I talked about pessimism and the fact that I don't give a fuck about your pessimism.
Yes, sir.
This week I'm going to talk about negativity and why I don't give a fuck about your negativity. Too often it's so easy to be negative about anything that happens in this world. What happened today with Kobe Bryant, there's some bullshit on the internet already about the fact that, maybe he didn't, pray enough or didn't go to church or some other things. And I just want to point out to people that negative bullshit is what causes all the stress and strife in this world. There are too many fucking wars historically that have been fought over that kind of bullshit, and I'm tired of that negativity. I do not give a fuck about your negativity because it is easy to be negative. It is hard to be positive. When you think about how important it is to get up in the morning and jump out of bed and take care of your responsibilities and make this world a better place, and all of those things require energy, effort, and a feeling of love and appreciation for being alive. That is so much more than just saying, I don't feel like doing it today. Blah, 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 blah.
Or it's not going to work anyway.
Exactly, it's not going to work anyway. So it's important for people to understand, and our listeners, listen up. Positivity takes energy. Positivity takes effort. But at the end of the day, at the end of your life, the amount of positivity that you have created in this world is what makes the diamonds that other people get to see. Your diamond only shines based on the positivity that you create to put pressure on all this negative bullshit in the world. And that is my war. I don't give a fuck about your negativity. I'm declaring war on negativity this episode.
I definitely dig it. Dig it a lot. My PSA. Keep your mouth shut. More specifically, know when to keep your mouth shut. And let me clarify. Because that can be like 4 different PSAs. There's many situations where you need to keep your mouth shut. What I'm speaking about tonight are secrets. So people often make the mistake of telling someone something that they don't want repeated. Okay, I get it. Nothing wrong there. But the reality is, there's no such thing as a secret. The only true secret, or the only things that will not be repeated, are things you don't tell anyone. Here's the deal. Each person has at least one person that they think they can trust. And that person isn't necessarily you. So when you go tell somebody something very, very private, that's a secret, they'll yes you to death. I'll hold water, I'll keep your secret. Then they go find the one person that they trust and say, I'm going to swear you to secrecy. Listen to what Pat told me. Don't tell anybody. That person just says, all right. And they go tell another person. And this is a game you played in like elementary school, like a telephone game. And like by the time it got to the first person again, the story had changed. But in all reality, I say this, I'm a very private person. Jay, you know that about me. And, I'm not an open book. I can reveal some things, though. But I just want to say, if there's anything that you're going through or that you feel and you share it with someone else, just understand it may not come back around, but there's a likelihood, there's a percentage, there's a chance that it's going to be repeated. And for me, trust is like a fortune to me. If I can trust a person, it's invaluable. So if you're like me, and that being said, I've been burned. I've entrusted people with information and they have not held on to that or kept it quiet. So if there's something you never want repeated, never open your mouth.
Word up. All right. This has been another episode in Fun and Truth in Black and White with Pat and Jay. We want to thank our listeners. This is a especially sad and tragic day. So we're thinking of you out here, and we just want you to know that we love you all. We appreciate you for listening, and we hope you're safe wherever you are.
Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, and the other 7 people that were on in the helicopter died today. May you rest in peace. Our deepest condolences to you, your families, and as always, peace and love.